What's up, y'all? We are back for Queen Sugar Season 2, Episode 3. What do I care for morning? So, this episode covered plenty of ground, and we'll get into it as we go throughout the review. But um, everything going on. So, we got threats being flung around, the baby getting threatened, a lot of shifting dynamics going on, just a whole lot. We got a lot happening in this episode, and I'm here for it. I really like this episode, and the evolution of this show has really got me all the way invested. So anyway, let's get into the episode. So again, this is season 2, episode 3. What do I care for morning? So the episode starts out with Vi in Hollywood. Everything is good back on the home front. They loving on each other and everything. And I'm glad to see that. I was rooting for Vi in Hollywood, and I'm still rooting for them. I'm so glad they's reunited and feeling so good. So they loving on each other. And Hollywood makes sure to mention to Vi, look, don't ever give up on us that easily again. And he's right. So then we have Micah and Nova over at Nova's house sitting down at the table. And Nova is gently encouraging Micah with some real words to open up about how he's feeling about what he went through with his experience with the police. And she basically tells him, when you stay silent, you're essentially giving up your freedom. And Micah is hearing her, but he's still too traumatized to really receive it. So he still kind of shuts down. He gets up and walks away from the table and is like, I'm just tired. So Charlie shows up at the house, and she's there checking on Micah, and she and Nova are talking for a second, and Nova's like, I'm worried about him because he's still not eating, he's not talking, and he wet himself that night in front of the precinct. And the look on Charlie's face, she looked terrified, and evidently she didn't know that it had gone that far, that he actually peed on himself in front of that precinct that night. So Ralph Angel calls, and Nova and Ralph Angel talk real quick, and she puts Charlie on the phone. Ralph Angel's like, look, I already talked to Nova, she's cool with it, and I'm doing this FSA thing to get these cover crops. And of course Charlie resisted, and Charlie's like, you can't be making any big decisions, Ralph Angel. It's how does it, and he tells her, well, I'm gonna put up my portion of the land. And she's like, well, how does that look? We just convinced this cohort of sugarcane folks to grind at our mill, and now we putting up a portion of the land as a side hustle. And Charlie, with everything is a chess move with Charlie, and we'll see that as the episode develops. Everything is a chess move, everything is strategic with Charlie. But meanwhile, neither Charlie or Nova has any idea about this last will and testament from Ernest Bordelon that left that whole farm to Ralph Angel. And so that was their exchange and everything. And Ralph Angel already had his mind made up, and so did Charlie. So they're button heads over that. And also, I forgot to mention that Nova is traveling to Atlanta for a mass incarceration symposium. She tells Charlie that while they were there talking. So Ralph Angel's parole officer shows up while he was on the phone with Charlie, and Ralph Angel just gets off the phone with Charlie like, I ain't got time for her right now. So that was that. We'll get back to the parole officer in just a second. So Charlie is taking Micah to school, and she's still kind of pressing him to try to open him up a little bit, and Micah's not having any of it. And so Micah happens to say, "So you're divorced now?" And Charlie was like, "Not yet." I forgot exactly what she said, but that's how the conversation started. And she used that as her segue into asking Micah if he expressed to Davis that he wanted joint he wanted Davis to have joint custody. Now, Charlie, Micah is a 16-year-old kid. He is not going to use that terminology talking to his dad. He wants to see his father. And that's all that really matters right there. Like, for Charlie to be pressing Micah like that about, did you say specifically you want him to have joint legal custody? Come on, Charlie. It's just too, that's everything going on with Micah right now after what he just went through, that whole traumatic experience, and you, Charlie, bringing this on him like this too. It's just too much. It was too much in that moment. And when she asked him that, Micah was like, he didn't say anything. He was silent. And she took his silence as confirmation that he didn't specifically ask Davis or express to Davis in those words that he wanted Davis to have legal joint custody. Charlie's just doing too much. But it's okay. We'll get to it. So anyway, so back to the parole officer and Ralph Angel. They are at the Bordelon house where Ralph Angel stays on the farm, and Ralph shows him the handwritten will and is asking his PO's opinion about the validity of it. And the PO was like, yeah, the intent in this will is clear. It's signed. It's partially dated, but it looks pretty good, Ralph. It'll hold up in court. And Ralph says, I don't think it'll go that far. I mean, they'll be hurt. My sisters will be hurt, but I don't think they'll take me to court over it. And his PO put it in perspective and was like, look, Ralph Angel, all that out there looks like dirt, but that's brown money. Like, that right there is pretty much money that you walking on, so be prepared because it could potentially happen. And he tells Ralph Angel also, this is about your future and Blue's future. And Ralph needed that. I said it before, Ralph really is seeking that affirmation. He wants it from his sisters, but the fact that he's making this progress with the farm is also affirmation for him to just kind of float on. He been through some stuff. He getting himself together. He doing this and taking initiative, and so good. So the PO told him, good for you, Ralph Angel. So we gonna see how that unfolds, because remember, neither one of the sisters nor Aunt Vi knows that whole entire farm was willed to Ralph Angel Bordelon. All right. So then let's see. We got more Vine Hollywood. We got a lot of Vine Hollywood throughout this episode, which is cool. They sitting around kicking it. Look like they watching Soul Sundays, Oprah's Soul Sundays. Good plug, Oprah. Good plug. That's what's up. And not only was it your Soul Sundays that was on, Miss Iyanla Vanzant was on there, and we all know Miss Iyanla gets everybody together in her Fix My Life. So good plug. I'm here for it. I don't watch Soul Sundays, but I watch Iyanla. So good plug. Anyway, so they sitting there kicking it, and Hollywood gets a phone call telling him he has to go back out on the rig within in the next 48 hours. So neither one of them are excited about that, of course, because they just reconciled and everything's going well. They getting a good love thing on. But they cool about it, you know. And Vi is like, you know, okay, well then let's put this work in, since we know what we got to do, so let's put this work in. And she kicked them shoes up in the air, and we know what happened from there. So back at the farm, Ralph is in the kitchen doing something, and Baby Blue is playing outside. And these damn Sam Landry done flew a drone over the damn farm, spying. Like, it's gonna get worse. But so Blue notices the drone, and it pisses Ralph Angel off, rightfully so. He's really mad about that. So he shows up over to the offices of Landry and Boudreaux. Shows up over there and confronts Jacob and is like, what the hell you think you doing? Basically, like, you fucking with the wrong people, you know. And he had the drone in a trash bag that was thrown over his shoulder, and he says Jacob is being real condescending, real nasty, sarcastic, or whatever, has this real nasty tone with Ralph Angel, and he threatens he threatens the baby. Now, Ralph Angel jacks him up all up in the collar and getting ready to bang on him, right? But he's like, Jacob says, yeah, go ahead and do it, and they're gonna put your ass under the jail, convict. Just real nasty, you know what I mean? How that go. And Ralph Angel in that moment is like, he realizes he has a lot to lose. He already convicted once. He has a lot to lose, so he backs off of him, but he makes sure he put that motherfucker on point and was like, look, if anything happened to my son, it ain't no jail big enough to keep me from banging on your ass. So let's make sure that's understood. Cool, right? So then Charlie and Davis, right? She storms in and says, Micah didn't ask you for legal joint custody. And Davis is over it at that point. He like, Charlie, we talking about our son here. And here go Charlie with the emotions. Well, you wasn't thinking about that when you was out there messing with them hookers and humiliated us in public like that. And I'm like, Charlie, I get you hurt. The hookers and the public humiliation, that hurt you, but that don't have nothing to do with Micah. You got hurt, but Micah did too. So, you know, so that don't have nothing to do with nothing. And Davis is like, Charlie, look, I didn't have what you had growing up. I didn't have a father figure, and until I met you. And when I did meet you, Ernest became my father too. And even though Ralph Angel and Nova was down there in Louisiana and you was all the way in California, Ernest was still there for you, because why? He had access to you, and he had access without the drama. And I need that if you want me to be what you say you want me to be to Micah. He was right. And you could see it in Charlie's face. She knew he was right. So for that moment, that split second, Charlie, you could tell she had a moment of reckoning within herself. But again, she's always posturing. Everything is always a chess move, and has that game face on at all times. She's a businesswoman. She's a shrewd businesswoman, evidently, clearly. So she says, for a moment I thought you might have been sincere, but it don't change nothing. Like, you still ain't shit. And don't you ever mention my father and your name in the same, y'all don't even belong in the same sentence. So, yeah. And but hold on, Charlie, roll it back. Cause Davis was like, yeah, and I know you forged my name. So I'm gonna need you to just let me see my son, bitch. Cause I ain't here for this bullshit. I know you, whatever, but I ain't here for this bullshit, so you need to let me see my son, or I'm going to tell that bank that you forged my name. And she comes back and says, well, go ahead and tell them that that I forged your signature. And I tell them you was the team pimp. Remember, because the round table that they had when everything came out about what Davis had done, nobody knows about that still, just yet. I don't think, I don't, except for the people involved. Like, they don't public don't know. So anyway, that was their back and forth, and that's how that ended. So again, we got some more Hollywood and Val. They kicking it in the hot tub, and they loving on each other, and they're, like, all good things have to come to an end because it's getting close to time for Hollywood to go back out on the rig or whatever. Okay. Then we got Charlie and Ralph Angel. Charlie and Ralph Angel, they at the High Yellow, and Charlie was like, I ain't trying to talk about that loan no more, Ralph Angel. And Ralph Angel was like, nigga, I ain't trying to talk to your ass neither. Shit, if Nova was around, I'd have talked to her, because I don't want to talk to you. Because Ralph Angel tired of Charlie shit. And so they sit there, and Ralph Angel tells Charlie about the drone, and that sets Charlie off, but not so much as the fact that it's the drone flying over, but it pissed her off even more to learn that Ralph Angel had gone down there and got Mr. Boudreaux together, had gathered his ass, and Charlie's like, you can't do that. You need to, this is why I'm not going to sign them loan papers, because you around here doing shit that you don't know nothing about. And again, still minimizing him and talking down to him and just doubting him, really just doubting him. So over in ATL with Miss Nova, she is at the symposium and runs into Dr. Cobb, I think. Yeah, she runs into Dr. Cobb, and Dr. Cobb makes the introduction between Nova and Dr. Dubois, the epidemiologist. Real nice looking black doctor. And so, he makes the introduction, and they briefly go back with this. It's kind of like it was light, witty banter between two very intelligent people. From, for the most part, that's pretty much what it was. It was just banter back and forth, wittiness and everything. But Dr. Dubois was picking up everything that Nova was putting down, and even more so later on in the episode, which we'll get to in a second. So then we get to the panel discussion, and this is what really sewed it up for Nova as far as acquiring this doctor's interest. And the same thing for both. They were on this panel discussion about mass incarceration, and they each had opposing viewpoints, but it was still advocating for the same cause. So Dr. Dubois was pretty much like, it seemed like, he was kind of diminishing the seriousness of the vulnerability of these communities, like just how vulnerable black communities are by using the term necropolitics. That sent Nova into something, because Nova comes back with her rebuttal, and she's like, we need to understand first and foremost why these communities are vulnerable to begin with, so they're back and forth about that. And it comes down to the fact that he acknowledges the beauty of Nova's work, and Nova acknowledges his point of view, in that he understands that we are capable. We're more than capable. And, I just really, really like that exchange, because it was intelligent. It was poignant, very prevalent for today's date and time. Race relations is real. So I really appreciated that. And then also just getting back to the premise of the show, like the plot of the show, and what's going on with Miss Nova right now. We see she had been indulging in just wayward type of engagement with these white guys, but it's piqued her interest with this very intelligent black doctor, and I'm here for it. I like it. I want to see where this goes. So again, after the panel discussion, and that turns out well, we got again Vi and Hollywood. And Hollywood, they sitting there eating dinner, and Hollywood is like, Vi, I've been doing a whole lot of thinking, and I'm not here for this whole rig thing. I'm going to stay right here, and I'm going to focus on us, because you are what's most important right now, and we need fixing. And Vi, they love each other. And Vi was like, are you sure about that? And he's like, I ain't never been so sure about nothing in my entire life. Black love. I love it. So that's cool. And my question is, though, when is the wedding? Because it seemed like all they wheels is greased, and everything is working and clicking on all cylinders with them. They was able to reconcile and fall right back in. Ain't no pettiness going on. So I hope Miss Maxine Shaw don't show up and throw another wrench in nothing with no other spin. We know she popped up because she was still on Hollywood's insurance and everything, how that happened last season. So I hope all stays copacetic with them. Then now we back at the Bordelon family farm. Daggone Henry Lee out there stealing. Damn Sam Landry done put them up to it. They out there stealing cane, and they done hauled ass and left old Henry Lee down there in the dirt. Ralph done caught him and everything, and they back in the house, in the kitchen, sitting at the table. And Henry Lee was sorry. He in there, Sheila, his wife Sheila, she had gotten laid off. So he his back was against the wall. So he was doing what he had to do. And Sam Landry provided him what they needed. So he explains to them everything that happened and how Sam put him up to it. And he was sorry, and he would never do anything like that again. And Prosper was like, so were you really going to grind at Charlie's Mill, or was this just a setup? And he says, Landry put me up to it, put me up to joining the collective so I could spy and see what was going on. And of course everybody is upset. Ralph Angel's upset, Charlie's pissed off, Henry Lee feeling a type of way because he feeling ashamed. Prosper looked like he just in disbelief, but Charlie asked them if she and Ralph Angel could talk alone. So, and she was going to call the police, and Ralph Angel's like, no, you ain't got to do all that, Charlie. But again, everything is a chess move with Charlie, because Charlie was like, we going to call the police, and this gonna be our way to expose the Landrys, and we gonna shame them publicly. But Ralph Angel like, nah, you ain't gotta do all that. I know what it's like to need help and not even be able to fathom in your mind where to start even trying to get that help from. When you desperate, it make you do bad things. And not only do it make a man do bad things, it make people in general do bad things when you get desperate. And so, but Charlie really ain't trying to hear that. So that was that. And then so that was the end of that. The next day, it looks like Charlie wakes up. She wakes up from a nap, and you hear Baby Blue giggling and laughing and everything. It's so joyous to hear kids and babies laugh. And she hears it, and she peeks in on Ralph Angel and Baby Blue, and they just, frolicking around. A father loving on his son, the baby, loving on his daddy. And she sees that, and it strikes something in her, and you could see her gears are turning. Like it's starting to sink in right here. It's starting to sink in. So back at in the ATL, they Dr. Dubois and Nova, they're sitting down there talking, and they kind of just settle up from the symposium and kind of just have a meeting of the minds. Is like, I get it, I understand where you're coming from and everything, blah blah blah. And they end up going for their long walk around the park and everything. That was real cute, real cute. And we come to find out that Dr. Dubois had done some early Katrina work, and he referred to that as a very gruesome time, and I couldn't agree more. It's some documentaries right here on YouTube that it'll make you cry. It'll make you cry, but that's a whole nother video. So anyway, let's see. So, and another thing I want to point out is that when Nova and Dr. Dubois were talking, he made it clear that he wants to make systemic change. Like, he wants to find a way to change to infiltrate these systems and this institutional racism and the things that plague us. He wants to make that grassroots change, and that's cool. I like that. And so Charlie, back in Louisiana, Charlie and Ralph Angel, they go in there and confront Landry and his nephew, and basically just reiterated, don't fuck with us. Okay, they're posturing, both Sam Landry and his nephew and Charlie and Ralph Angel, they're posturing, because they like, we the baddest, don't fuck with us, don't fuck with, you know how that go. But Charlie makes it clear, like, yeah, that's a threat. So this gonna be interesting to see how this unfolds throughout the season, how this adversarial relationship unfolds throughout the season, because we already know that the Landrys are trying to intimidate the Bordelons, and the Bordelons ain't gonna lay down for that. So we gonna see how that goes. They have a surprise party. They surprise Vi in Hollywood when they show up at the house, which was really, really nice. I like that. It was real cute. Everybody was laughing and smiling. They had some back in love again. I'm back in love again. Hey, all right. That's one of my favorite LTD songs. Like, I don't care where I'm at. I could be at the cookout. I don't care where I'm at. If that song come on, I'm on the floor. That and Poison, BBD. So anyway, they partying, everybody's smiling, everybody's laughing. Charlie notices Micah smiling and laughing, and I felt away. Like, I really felt like my heart was going out to Micah, because it felt good to see him smiling. He ain't been doing a whole lot of that lately, so I felt good about that. But you could see in Charlie's face, again, the gears is further turning. First they was grinding to a screech. They had ground to a screeching halt, but they turn, and she's seeing her son, the happiness, and from him being around amongst people that love him. So it's sinking in. And she also sees Ralph Angel, because Micah steps out on the terrace, and he's just out there alone, and he's just kind of staring off into the sky, just as cute as he can be with them big old eyes, just staring off into the sky. And Ralph Angel notices him, and he goes out there and talks to him, and just says, hey, look, just keep your head up, and gives him the nice pat on the back and everything, and that comfort and that reassurance. And Charlie sees that. So Ralph Angel walks back in the house, and Charlie stops and talks to Ralph Angel and thanks him for comforting Micah, and then also says to Ralph Angel, look, I get it. You need to be able to maneuver and make decisions on your own, and I understand. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to sign those loan papers and they hug it out. I like that. I like, just let's love on it. Let's love on each other. That's all. We need that compassion. We need that love. So I like that. They hug. So that was cool. And Charlie goes on, and she's gonna take Micah over to Davis, and on their way out, she tells Vi and Hollywood that, now that Hollywood's back, she's just gonna go ahead. It's time for her to go ahead and find her own place or whatever. So that's cool. Of course, Vi is very nurturing, but she's like, no, you don't have to do that. But we know how headstrong Charlie is. Charlie's probably just gonna go ahead and find her own place. So we'll see if that happens. And they go over to Davis's house to drop Micah off. She goes over there to drop Micah off, and they talk, and she says, I don't like this, but he needs this, so I'm gonna do this. And Davis says, Charlie, I wasn't going to snitch on you at the bank. I wasn't going to snitch on you. Like, I knew, as you always do, you were doing what you had to do. I wasn't going to snitch on you. And Charlie tells him the FSA dealings is about to come through or whatever, so thank you. But she makes sure that she makes sure she let him know before she left, like, look, if you fuck this up with my son, you gonna regret it, because I'm going to find a way to stop it. So Davis assures her he's gonna do right by Micah. Cool. And then the episode closes out back in ATL with Miss Nova checking out of the hotel, and Dr. Dubois comes in with coffee for both of them and walks her out to her cab and everything. And they just talk a little bit, and it's like, maybe I'll see you later or whatever it was they were talking about. But what got my attention though was, did y'all see when Miss Nova got in that cab, that smile on her face? Girl, that was a smile ear to ear. Smiling like Celie was smiling when she and Suge Avery was sitting down talking in the room on the bed. That smile was from ear to ear, baby. Them big pretty white teeth on that chocolate skin. She was smiling, and I'm here for it, because I'm like, I want to see how this turns out. I want to see how this whole thing pans out. And I have a feeling that at some point, Dr. Dubois might end up in Louisiana for some reason. And then another thing about Miss Nova, did y'all see her arms in them sleeveless dresses that Miss Nova was rocking? Girl, giving me every bit of Miss Angela Bassett and what's that? What's Love Got to Do with It? Yes, I love it. So anyway, y'all, that was it for Queen Sugar season 2, episode 3, and I'm looking forward to the next episode. I want to thank everybody for tuning in and rocking with me. Thank y'all for subscribing. If you haven't done so already, you can go ahead and click your subscribe button. Join the just join me. You know what I'm saying? I don't do too much on this channel. Very chill, very relaxed, and I would love to have you. So go ahead, click your subscribe button, turn your notifications on so you can get notified when I upload my videos. I look forward to kicking it with y'all again next week for Queen Sugar. Also, Sunday Power will be on, and I will be reviewing that. So thanks again. I love y'all. Thanks again for tuning in, hanging in there with me, and I will see y'all in the next episode recap. Bye-bye.